Hey everybody, welcome to our Wowza webinar. My name is Justin Miller and I do apologize. We've had a couple audio issues and video issues and a whole bunch of problems right at the beginning. I'm moving over here so you guys people can talk into this. Unfortunately, our room apparently had some issues, but I think we're good to go now. Everybody, you guys good to go?
Good to go. Good to go.
All right. So let me introduce myself. My name is Justin Miller. I'm the webinar and video producer here. With us are Frank Durant, the Wowza Streaming Engine engineer. How's it going, Frank?
It's going well. Happy to be here.
Well, it wasn't going well just a second ago. But I think we're good now. We also have Don Dudry here, our senior technical product manager. Don, how you doing?
Doing well.
And we do have Jason, but apparently due to our issues in the beginning, Jason couldn't get on, and now I don't know where Jason is. So hopefully he can get in. So we're gonna just wait for him for a minute. While we're waiting, I just want to say hi to everyone who is here. And just to make sure that you all know how to access information here, you should see that there are options for both Q&A. Oh, hey, there he is. Jason, how's it going? Are you there?
I'm here.
All right. Are you hearing us loud and clear?
I can hear you loud and clear, Justin.
All right. Well, thanks, Jason, for joining us. Sorry about the problems earlier. I think it was a problem with logging into the room first, but glad we're all up and running right now. So just to make sure everyone can understand, there is a questions and answer window available to you. There's also a chat window. If you type into the chat window, we're not going to answer your questions there. We answer your questions through the Q&A window, but we're going to hold off on Q&A until we're closer to the end. We have quite a number of questions that came in right in the beginning that many people wanted to have answered, so we consolidated many of those questions and have put them into in order that we can answer a little easier. Then we'll do a demo, so you can actually see this up and running and working. And some other people may share their screen so we can see how it's operating. And then we'll go into Q&A at the end. But just to make sure you guys can use the Q&A window, please go ahead and type into the Q&A window right now. In fact, just tell us where you're from. That way we know you can hear us and we know everything is working. So hey Connor, great to have you. David, Kenneth, wow, we got people from all over the country here. We got people from the UK, British Columbia, Turkey. I don't know what you mean by hatch, baby. India, South Africa, Russia. So hey, everybody, Robin, Bruce, Joshua, Mike, Anton. Wow, we got a lot of people here. Okay, well, I'm sure you've all come to hear more about using WebRTC with Wowza Streaming Engine. Just to make sure, I just want to take a quick poll here, if you guys don't mind. So I'd like to ask you a few questions. First of all, I'm curious, are you currently streaming live video? If you could answer that question, I'd really appreciate it, along with what latency you're currently seeing in your stream. Are you seeing over 15 seconds? Are you seeing under 3 seconds? It's always good to know so we get an idea of what you're currently dealing with in terms of both WebRTC or using Engine or, well, however you're currently streaming. We'd also love to know if you're currently using Wowza and what industry you're in. So definitely I'd appreciate that information. And while people are bringing that in, I'm going to say hi to Darren from New York. Joshua is asking if there's a way to unmute his mic. Joshua, we do have the option to unmute your mic. When we do the Q&A, maybe we can do that at the end if you have a longer question you'd like to ask. You say Jan in Germany, hi. Mario in Ecuador. Okay, if I'm going to go through all these, I'm afraid we're going to be spending a long time for me doing that. So I'm going to end the poll now, guys. Or I'll give you a few more seconds. I see some other people who are answering the poll. Okay, I don't see anybody else answering the poll, so I am going to end the poll now. And If you guys would like to know the results, I'll be happy to share them with you here. So by the way, just so you can know, 87% of you are currently streaming, with 33% of you under 3 seconds already. That's great to hear. Many of you, about 89% of you, are using Engine. So Frank, you'll have a lot of Engine people are asking questions.
Perfect.
And what industry are you in? 53% of you are already web app software developers. Well, great to have you all here, and I'm sorry if you heard me taking pictures there. But I like to take a picture of the poll before I end the poll, so I'm going to stop sharing the poll right now. And hey, let's go into questions, shall we? So we are first going to go into this first question here, which is, how many WebRTC connections does a single instance of Wowza handle? With a follow-up question, how well does Wowza Streaming Engine scale with WebRTC inputs?
All right, so the answer to that one is in-house over here. We did QA testing to load test before we did our full release, and we were able to see around 750 concurrent playback connections run smooth on an AWS C3 extra large instance, and that is with 4 virtual CPUs, 7.5 gigabytes of RAM, and 2 by 40 SSD drives. So taking that into account, I think it's easy to say that we could scale that much better with the higher spec machine. Is the engine process is going to take a lot less of the percentage of that load of that computer. And we also did not test ingest, but we can expect it to take more CPU, but probably not too much more significantly. When it comes to scaling this with workflows involving transcoding, we're going to see very different results, because that is significantly more computationally expensive, especially if you're doing it on the CPU.
All right, thanks, Frank. And the second question that came in was, how can I scale to multiple connections without thousands of Wowza licenses? Jason, I don't know if you want to answer that, or Frank, you do?
Absolutely, I can scale to multiple connections without thousands of Wowza licenses. At this time, we only support using one instance with WebRTC. Although we do have options where you can transcode and go to CDNs.
Awesome. All right, thank you.
You definitely won't need thousands of licenses.
Well, I'm sure the person who asked that question is glad to hear that. Number 3, what audio and video codecs are used when in-browser encoding for WebRTC? Frank?
So for this one, we kind of geared the answer specific to encoding codecs, video and audio codecs that are supported for ingest by Wowza. And those would be for video, H.264, VP8 and VP9, and for audio, Opus, Vorbis, and G711. And I believe that includes ALAW and MLAW. So another thing to note is when we're focusing this, all browsers do support H.264. Safari currently does not support VPX, and that is, a large market share. So you're going to have to take that into account when you decide on how you're going to implement your solution with Wowza. The beta versions of Safari, I do believe, have support for VPX, but currently is just limited to H.264.
All right, and just so people know, we have about 30 questions in here. So we're at 3 now. Not sure what supported outputs are, but 4 here. Is transcoding necessary to get from WebRTC ingest to HLS egress?
I'll answer this one, and it would be, if you set H.264 as your WebRTC source input, which is recommended because it's works well across all browsers. all you have to do is transcode the Opus audio to AAC. And just transcoding the audio takes very little system resources.
All right, thanks, Jason. And Pip, just to let you know, yes, the audio and slides will be available after this. We should send them out by Monday. So question number 5, what are the stream targets, configurations, and limits?
So currently with the WebRTC ingest, all stream target configurations are supported. But the thing to note with this, and when using any of the other HB live streaming services that we provide, there is sometimes the requirement for transcoding, as we discussed earlier, and there's obviously going to be transmuxing that may have constraints on what you can package in that file format that you're trying to use. So just like Jason said, that's going to be with Opus, like that might not be usable with MPEG-TS. VP8, VP9 might not be using with MPEG-TS. So if you're using those, you may have to transcode.
All right, so Alias, I hear you also had a problem with stream targets not working. Hopefully that'll help some of your question there, but as well, you definitely should contact support and see what's going on. I'm not sure if you might be using a trial or using something else that might be causing issues. So 6, can WebRTC be integrated with RTSP streams from IP cameras?
This can work, although it's not considered supported at this time. We prefer to see WebRTC going in for WebRTC playback.
Another thing to note there also is we do have ULL products that might be better suited for that workflow. So reaching out to our sales representatives or other members of the company can also help suit you and your goals for what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, absolutely. RTMP and RTSP works quite well with ultra low latency.
All right. Question 7, is there a specific solution to improve WebRTC's performance?
So we kind of broke this question up because it's pretty generic. So one of the first things we discussed was like, how can we build a solution that works better under poor network conditions, especially in browser. So the first thing we could recommend people to do would be to use a newer generation codec like VP9 that has a higher compression ratio. So we're able to get out basically more bang for the buck, but it's going to also, as a trade-off, require more compute power on the client that's publishing the video. Another thing we could recommend people to do is to use UDP to take over some overhead that TCP adds, and you could also lower the bit rate. You would see these are all trade-offs and balances, so it's going to require some testing, but those were our recommendations for those. For poor streaming quality, this fits kind of into that same kind of trade-off conversation I just brought up, but with that, we would probably first tell people to up the bit rate for their video or their audio so that the encoder can better compress, have more room to compress that data and not lose as much. They could also use TCP, and another thing that they could do would be to troubleshoot their network, make sure that they're having enough network bandwidth for their set bit rates.
So Frank, somebody had asked a question related previously to something you had said. You said that only one WebRTC stream is supported?
Is that for ingest? So we did testing on one ingest stream and 700 out, but we certainly do support multiple ingests and egresses.
So Mike Williams, we're answering your question on that. So specifically, we're saying one ingest for WebRTC, but we support over 700 egresses.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's just what we did for load testing. We were trying to check, do a stability and a load-based test that used that computer with the specs that we defined and made sure that this was stable and could be supported without spiking the CPU, which can sometimes, have unpredictable results.
All right. Well, I hope that helps, guys. 8. Are both audio only and video supported, or only video and audio with WebRTC? Jason?
Um, this is considered supported, although sometimes could have mixed results going across browsers. So if you do run into any issues, please let support at wowza.com know, and we'll further assist. Although audio only and video only is considered supported.
Okay. So audio only and video only are supported, as well as video with audio, of course.
Correct.
All right. 9. How do I fall back to audio only in WebRTC streaming?
So we currently do not have a fallback option for this for Wowza. One option could be you could detect this possibly on the client side and just reinitiate the connection then.
All right. Well, I hope that helped the person who asked that question. Number 10, is TCP or UDP recommended for WebRTC? And can I switch between them on demand?
Is TCP or UDP recommended? I would go with UDP to handle low bandwidth clients, because UDP is not guaranteed packet delivery. So, and TCP is. So you would have to have that full bandwidth. And also UDP works well across browsers. And then to switch them on demand, you can not switch them on demand, although you can set up a TCP and UDP as candidate. So it will select the best one the first time.
All right. Thanks, Jason. Number 11, do you have resources on how to build an in-browser encoder user interface for WebRTC?
We currently don't. I think the a better answer to this one is currently we have the ability to select the resources that are exposed by the browser. So right now, if you use our sample demos, we've exposed inputs for bitrate for the audio and the video, and you can also select your audio and video codecs based on what's exposed by the browser.
All right. 12, do you have resources for WebRTC and the respective SDK for iOS and Android?
We currently do not, although we are looking into future possibilities of integrating WebRTC into our GoCoder SDKs for iOS and Android. And please also note that our SDK is now free, and you can find out at wowza.com.
So certainly we have an SDK. We don't support WebRTC during this time with that SDK. We certainly support our own low latency options, right? For Wowza Streaming Cloud with ultra low latency.
Yeah, the streaming will be over our Wowza protocol, which is actually pretty quick within itself. And you can go even quicker with streaming through ultra low latency latency.
So just something to think about when people are looking at a WebRTC alternative. I think a lot of people look at WebRTC because they just assume it's the lowest latency possible, but not necessarily true. Thank you, Jason.
You're welcome.
13, how do I debug connection droppings?
So we have several options for this. The first step we would guide people to is just to look at the Wowza Streaming Engine access logs and the error logs. You will see connections negotiated through the SDP exchange, and then the RTP sessions that are encapsulated or negotiated in that initial negotiation, and you'll see them destruct also once the connections drop. To debug further information inside the application XML, there is a WebRTC block where you can enable debug logging, and you will get more than enough information to solve most of your problems from that, or at least to go to support who is well equipped to help debug those situations.
All right. And 14, how do you authenticate with a WebRTC ingest?
We do have examples to use this. It's pretty basic Java code. and I will post that link in the chat.
Okay, awesome. Thanks. Should I move on while you're posting that?
I also think the note, like, this is a great spot for customers to go in and develop their own application control, like to help build out their solution. These endpoints allow you to, accept, reject. You could maintain state of who's in calls, who's not in calls, all in that example page that Jason will be.
Yeah, you could do it through query strings and user data.
Yeah, so all types of information can be taken from the client.
Okay, I'll tell you what, guys. I know we started a little late, and so I know a lot of people want to maybe get to the demo and be able to ask questions. I see many questions coming in right now that are not the candid ones here. We're going to go through a couple more of these questions, and then I think we're going to stop and maybe jump a little bit ahead and do the demo so people can see how the functionality operates. So let me just go to, say we'll go up to 20, and then we'll jump over to that. So number 15, can WebRTC solve coarse issues with HTTP?
So I'll answer this one because I did have an initial answer that I've gone against. So WebRTC doesn't have these issues. I mean, that's the basic answer to that. And since we're limited on time, we can just go to the next one.
How do you use the trial Wowza Streaming Engine to deliver WebRTC?
You can get a developer license, which there's no charge for that, and that will enable you to have a request for a Streamlux cert, which is needed for WebRTC. Because over WebSockets and over the browser, you'll need SSL streaming.
All right. And 17, do you have a Wowza build that can be deployed with WebRTC pre-configured?
Yes, we do not have one that's with WebRTC pre-configured, but it is. We have provided example scripts inside of the install directory's example directory that will allow you to set up a WebRTC installation very quickly, and the only thing you need is an SSL certificate.
All right. And 18, how does WebRTC's latency compare to the latency of Apple HLS?
WebRTC's latency is usually sub 2 seconds, and a lot of times it'll be sub 1 second. And HLS is chunk based, so it requires 3 chunks before a stream can start. It's usually in the 10-second range per chunk, although that can be tuned down to about the 6 to 8 second range.
All right.
WebRTC's latency is pretty much real time versus not real time with HLS.
And I think you're going to provide a link in a little bit just so other people can go to it so they can kind of see a demo of the difference between the WebRTC ingest and then its egress with WebRTC versus Apple HLS.
Absolutely.
All right. So guys, we'll be doing that in just a few more minutes. And here's some examples of latency here just so you can see where they are on that scale. You can see WebRTC is definitely within that 1 second range where you start moving up between 1 second and 5 second. And you'll see MPEG TS, RTMP tuned, our own wireless protocol, SRT, and RTSP. When we start getting into HLS tuned, as it's asking, here it is over here, a little bit past 5 seconds. So as you were saying, Jason, you were saying about 6 seconds?
Yeah, when you tune HLS, you'll be in the 6 range.
All right, so we'll see that in just a minute, guys. Next question. Oh, I guess that is the demo. Oh, well, perfect area for it. So, Jason, I don't know if you want to share that link in the chat, and then I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'll let you share yours just so everyone can see it. Sounds good?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to share the links in the chat, everybody, although please do not connect. I'm going to actually just share the playback link. And,
okay, so maybe you want to show it on the screen first so everyone can see it, and then you make a connection?
Yeah, let me...
All right, I'm going to stop sharing then.
That's a good idea. So I'm going to share now.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry for the windows that decided to pop up. Let's... Oh, I'm gonna.
And what you're asking people to do is not connect to share themselves, right? But to just go to the URL so that they can see it running on their own.
Yeah, actually, I'll just, they can go to a URL, they can select play on each one when I say go. I'll get the stream up and running. Can everyone shout out in the chat if they're able to see my screen?
I can see your screen, so I'm going to assume everyone else can see your screen.
Yeah, if you can see it, everyone can see it. So what I'm going to do is slide these windows over. Okay, so here's a WebRTC publish page with a simple video element. I left the fields available so you can see what's going on. There's SDP URL, which goes over WebSockets. And this will stream into Wowza with these encoding settings, which you can change to what you like. So I'm going to start with a publish. And on this page, we got WebRTC playback, which is pretty much instant. Although you'll see that HLS, this is tuned about as low as you can get it with 1 second chunks, but it's going to be about a 6 or so second delay.
Yeah, you should clap just so you can see a difference there. Okay. All right. Well, I can definitely see the delay. Great to see. And you provided the link already for everybody so they could just go and check it out themselves?
Yeah, but the link is there. And all you have to do is hit play and play for tuned HLS.
Okay. So I'll tell you what, should we go back and answer some questions? Or like I said, there are 75 questions already in the queue here people have.
Actually, could we do the chat example as well? Because some customers were asking about.
Sure, go ahead.
You
Absolutely.
can leave your screen open right now if you have the page open, Jason, or I can share.
Yeah, let me get that going. Oh.
So tell me about this, what we're looking at.
Okay, so this is.
Oh, go ahead, Frank.
Yeah, so this is basically putting that publisher and player page in the same element. We didn't want to go too far off from our sample examples. So this is really using those publisher and player examples and putting them into one page. If you're looking to do your own custom like call system or to see if people are available, you could easily do that through the example module page that Jason Tupler shared. So I'll go ahead and hit play on Jason. So Jason, you can hit publish. You can hit play on me, and I am playing right now. So you can see me. This is basically just using the same workflow that we would for a broadcast-based workflow to do this. We're querying by the stream name. We've got our streams as our name, but there's so much you could do with the client side data that we can send over the WebSocket connection. All right, I've closed mine, Jason.
Oh man, you didn't even give me a chance to like photobomb you or anything. I was just getting ready.
Okay, here, let's get the photobomb real quick.
Oh.
Not too late.
No, he's gotta like go back. He can't reach the site. It's all good. So questions about this right now. I mean, go ahead and type them into the Q&A window, guys, and we can discuss this a little bit, and then we'll go back and answer some of the questions that just came in. I'm sorry we're not going to be able to answer all the questions that came in during the initially, but I just want to be able to answer questions now because I think some people have a better idea of its functionality. David's asking, the first question, of course, that comes in is, can we watch this later? And absolutely, you can watch this later. We will send this out probably in the next couple of days. Definitely put it up as a blog post, so for sure. Michael's asking, when will GoCoder support WebRTC?
Unfortunately, Michael, there's no ETA on this. It's being reviewed, although it has not been worked on yet.
If you want it badly enough, feel free to email me, Wowza, webinars@wowza.com, and at least I can send out how many people send in an email, so we know out of the people who came to this webinar, how many people are interested. So it's always good to know how much interest we have in something like that.
Yeah, and I can speak a little bit for the product team. We are looking at that for the current sprints, but we have no ETA on when we'll be able to release it, but it is under investigation right now.
Thanks, Don. Robin's asking, would SRT ingest work with WebRTC playback?
Currently, that is a unsupported workflow, but it may work. We don't support officially non-WebRTC inputs. I do think that the low latency solutions and in the future, CMAP low latency, which is something that we've been prioritizing this year, would help solve those problems. Be better solutions.
I'm gonna switch out, by the way. I think we're still showing your screen, or am I not showing any screen? Am I not showing anything, guys? I do apologize. I will get back to at least sharing a screen here. And like I said, there were other questions coming in, but we're gonna go to these. So Anthony's asking, can you simultaneously have over 4 people talking over WebRTC and then broadcast that conversation to 4,000 people via HLS?
So if you were looking to do that 4 people at one time, that would really come down to like how you're trying to implement your solution. If you were to bring in 4 people and then put them all in different video elements and with different streams for HLS, this would certainly be doable. In the real world, you're probably going to end up needing to do some transcoding to get high quality streams, 4 high quality streams over to one person. And there also is the option of using some of our transcoder APIs to try and stitch those 4 people together. I think with HLS, it is certainly doable to broadcast that the 4,000 people. It would be very easy with a CDN. And with a big AWS instance, I would say it could be doable, but with 4 separate streams that are large, you might hit network IO limitations.
So you would have to have an ingest, you're saying, of 1?
So you could do 4 separate ingests.
Okay.
You could, and you could play them all back out, have 4 different video players at once if that's what they want, but you could also use the transcoder API to mux those together. That would be probably a significant amount of development work, but it is doable.
All right, Anthony, I hope that answers your question. Can never pronounce that name. Sachin? Sachin's asking, when could we support the WebRTC with Safari and Edge for ingest?
Safari right now should work. It is considered limited. And if you go into developer tools, there's some WebRTC legacy options that you might need to enable. If you have troubles with that, please let support@wowza.com know. Edge is currently not supported, and there's no ETA at this time.
All right. Thanks, Jason. David is asking, if Wowza does not support non-WebRTC ingest, which I'm not sure what he means by that, what output format does Wowza recommend for real-time video playback if the ingest format is H.264 over RTSP? So I guess he wants a, David, I'm not sure I'm asking. You're asking for an
That's what it means.
Okay.
If you need to have a low latency from non-WebRTC in, we do highly recommend our ultra low latency solution.
So Wowza Streaming Cloud with ultra low latency is what we're suggesting.
Right.
All right.
In the future, that will be CMAP CTE will fill that gap also.
So Anthony's pulling us back to his previous question and asking if we can actually stitch together the videos into one HLS stream.
We currently do not offer that capability, but we do have a very large amount of APIs that we expose. In particular, I think the one that you would want to do to stitch them together would probably be on decode frame. With the transcoder, we expose an API to output the decoded frames, which you could then stitch together or use this tool to do it. So it's doable, but we don't know how to do it, and you'll have to do a lot of performance and load testing and build probably a pretty in-depth infrastructure unless you can constrain a lot of your encoding parameters to stitch those together.
So an engine, they basically have to build something into.
Yeah, they would have to build something in.
Okay. David's asking, does Flow Player support video playback of that format? And I assume that format being WebRTC.
As long as you if you go H.264 and AAC out, Flow Player should work.
So again,
that would require HLS too, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Requires HLS, and the big thing is that WebRTC, the audio, is not AAC, right? Mm-hmm. It's Opus. Opus. Is that correct? Okay. So you would have to have that transcoded, brought out as H.264 and AAC, and then through HLS Flow Player works.
Yeah, and so that's actually not really the characteristic of HLS. HLS doesn't restrict that. It is the MPEG-TS container format that restricts that. And in the future with CMAP, we will be able to better serve those streams without the need to do that. The container format supports a lot more encoding formats than MPEG-TS does.
Okay. Mike's asking, what is the approximate latency of WebRTC into Engine, and then passing the stream into Wowza Streaming Cloud for transcoding and distribution? So he wants to ingest via Engine and then stream target out to Cloud for distribution.
We're going into Engine and out to Cloud for, we do have a low latency setting option. It's just a check mark within the Cloud live stream. I'm going to guess that would take you about the 6 to 8 second range, and then with the WebRTC, a little bit of latency for transcoding and coming into Engine, probably in about 10-second range estimate.
It also depends on what you're putting in. If you're transcoding the video, it's going to take significantly more buffering and time to do. With audio, it'll be a lot less.
Yeah, audio should be sub half second. Video probably about a second.
All right, thank you. And so, Amir was asking if we missed his questions. Yes, we actually went to the questions that were asked right after the demo. We were going to see if we can pull back some of the earlier questions, but I have to say we've got a lot of questions in. So I do apologize, guys. We're doing what we can. Normally we would end this webinar right now, but I figure we got do another 15 minutes to bring it to the end of the hour to try to get as much as we can in. So your first question was, you want to learn if there is a plan to support cluster mode for WebRTC publisher and watcher load balancing. And you also want to know if there's any API support for muxing selected streams and and output it on a single stream. So I think that's what we were just talking about before, which is there an API support for it? I mean, you said that we had open APIs available, but you would have to build something yourself.
Yeah, the solution would have to be built yourself.
As for the first question, is there a plan to support cluster mode for publish and watcher load balancing?
I'm not sure what that means, but for load balancing, that would have to be done currently through our exposed APIs. I imagine you could do something with mudging the SDP that is offered and answered during the initial connection, but we currently do not have a a tool for that, but I do think it's interesting, and I do believe I've created a ticket for something like that.
And by the way, there's a lot of questions coming in, guys. Just so you know, we're going to do what we can to go back, but we don't have that much time left. I also wanted to mention, just so you all know, for people who do want to try this and don't have Engine, I realize I think 88% of you already do have Engine, but for those who don't, you can go to this URL right here and get the installer for the trial, and right there is also a link to get a trial developer license. So if you have the trial developer license, that should be the license you need in order to test out WebRTC, if I'm not correct.
Yes.
Yeah. So just making sure people have it.
And one of the requirements there is going to be having an SSL certificate, and that will solve that problem too. You can request an SSL certificate with our developer license, and with a paid account, I do believe you get 2 for free.
Awesome. Good to know. So Pip is asking, what was the CMAP CTE you mentioned?
So that is actually CMAF, is Common Media Access Format. And that is really just another newer container format that's looking to have a container format that is usable by like HLS and Dash and other HTTP live streaming protocols to eliminate duplication of data that we kind of see in a lot of customers' workflow. CTE part is using HTTP 1.1's chunk transfer encoded protocol. So using this stuff together, we're able to package video and audio content with more supported audio and video encoding formats than we did with, say, MPEG-GS for HLS, and we're able to deliver it in a low latency transport mechanism by using chunk transfer encoding. It also has there are also some more nuances around the container format, but it's really just going to be another low latency solution that Wowza provides.
All right. And Michael's asking, does WebRTC support 360 equitangular video, either ingest from a 360 camera or playback out to a 360 capable player?
I would think probably no, because you'll have to have 3 video elements for the same stream. It would involve a lot of custom work, Michael, maybe you could have 3 different stream names with 3 different, but it'd be quite challenging. I would not recommend that workflow.
Yeah, I don't think really WebRTC was designed for that. I mean, it's really designed to go through the browser and wasn't planning to do 360.
And I've seen some of this done through tiling, and we currently don't support a way for you to select multiple streams, especially not like dynamically like you would probably see with some of those solutions. And for any of those codecs that are built to do that, I don't think that we're gonna support, or probably haven't been written into many of the browsers.
So Wellington's asking, I have one question about the mobile iOS SDK, the Go Coder. This have an open source. In my company, I have a problem with the scale factor of resolution selected of the mobile camera, and why the best option for low bandwidth connections, multiple playlists for sending data like 360p, 720p, 1080p. Not totally sure what the question is.
I don't really get this, but I would say that the best practice to do would be to, in a low latency situation, would be to choose a protocol that is favorable for that. Sometimes that can be SRT or a UDP based one, which is going to have less overhead that TCP will have. And you're also going to try, another good option would be to offload some of that encoding onto the device, to compress it more instead of sending in a higher bitrate mezzanine or high quality stream that you would then transcode and send out to a wide variety of targets.
All right, and I think Jason got dropped somehow. So
I'm back.
Oh, you're back? Okay.
Yeah.
Wasn't sure something happened there. I will tell you, we are in the midst of a blizzard right now. People are telling me go home. But we'll stay on for another 10 minutes here and see what questions we can answer for you guys. So Jason, that might have been the issue that happened there. So Frederick just wants to know, are we supporting two-way WebRTC connections?
Well, currently you can do it, but it isn't a supported, or I don't think, I can
It's
let
not the
Don speak to
workflow that
the
we really
workflow we're
have.
targeting.
Yeah, it's not part of our officially supportable. Will it work?
I'd say yes.
Probably.
But really, our design is to take your current WebRTC, let's say, meet your group, and be able to broadcast that or distribute that to, say, 100,000 people, right? As opposed to have 100,000 two-way connections. That's not going to be possible. But taking that and being able to have a viewership of, say, those two people talking, which is what you were saying before, not necessarily transmuting those together, but having you can have two separate screens seeing that person, the two separate people. You're giving me these faces, man. Okay, I'll try not to extend my conversation here. Mark's asking, is RTMP, RTSP to WebRTC on the roadmap to be officially supported?
We are looking at it. It is not on the roadmap there's no ETA on that. But it is something we are considering as part of what's next for WebRTC.
All right, so we had a previous question about the cluster mode and API support, and we had a response to that.
We answered those.
Well, the second part
Oh,
here.
okay.
It says, yes, I'm trying to do this to put two server publish, one of them automatically scale this. I think you're trying to basically work with the API. If you're having problems with the API, I mean, certainly contact our support department and they will help you out. Can't promise we can we can build something per se, but if you're confused about the API or if there's something that you need to focus on, Jason, I'd say you guys can be of assistance, right?
Yeah, we could take a look at it. I mean, using a load balancer is not considered a supported workflow at this time, although we can see if we can point you in the right direction.
All right, so Robin's asking, what's the difference between ultra-low latency WebSocket delivery from Wowza Streaming Cloud and WebRTC?
So the ultra-low latency WebSocket delivery is going to be using our own internal TCP-based delivery mechanism, and WebRTC is going to be using TCP or UDP, and under the hood, the actual data is going over RTP channels. So I don't know if that answers the question, but they're certainly pretty different. And I can't speak personally to the latency expectations.
I mean, WebRTC wasn't designed to reach a large audience, for one thing, right? Like, our ultra-low latency is designed to reach a large audience. Mm-hmm. WebRTC is designed really for chat back and forth between a small group on a browser, right? Through a browser being the encoder. As you can see, a lot of people don't necessarily want to use the browser as an encoder. They want RTMP or TSP. They want to use an IP camera, which is not necessarily what WebRTC is mm-hmm. designed for. I mean, personally, what I'm getting from you guys is you want ultra-low latency, right? And you want WebRTC to be able to do it, but you don't really want to use it the way WebRTC was designed. Mm-hmm. So just, we do have this option, Wowza Streaming Cloud with ultra-low latency. If anybody wants to check it out, please do. You can open up a trial account and check out the latency there. We have plenty of videos. If you'd like me to send you a video about getting it up and running so you can see the kind of latency that it has, feel free to send me an email at webinars@wowza.com and I'll send you that video out so you can check it out. But I mean, the way we've designed it right now, I think it's even better because you can test it out right through the GUI interface in cloud, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So you can just set it up and test it out from one iPhone to another, or iPhone or whatever mobile phone you have to your browser, and check out the latency. It's I'd say usually if it's in the United States, it's a sub 2-second latency. If you're talking about out to the world, it's about a sub 3-second latency.
And one thing to note there too is if you're trying to scale WebRTC like that, you're going to have to look at interfacing with another third-party solution or building your own like scalable infrastructure to support delivering that content. And that is what Wowza Cloud does for you with ULL. We have our own infrastructure that supports that all over the globe.
Right. We have the content delivery network there ready to go for you. So it's all up and running. It's very plug and play. All right. So Anthony, hi Anthony again, wants to know if there's an example of tuned HLS streaming using Wowza Streaming Engine.
We do have an article for that. Let me post that into the chat, Anthony.
Thanks, Jason. Erwin's asking about official support for RTMP to WebRTC would be awesome, which we've noted that. Thank you. See, this is what I'm saying. People want to use WebRTC. They just want a different form of ingest, and I understand it's the latency issue. Pip says, is there a critical way to extract a report on the latency value from a client player?
I do not know what the values for this would be currently. I don't.
I think he wants to know if there's a way to extract it, or is there? Yeah, but that's really a WebRTC thing, right? I mean, if they're asking to go out to a WebRTC, it would be a player that, I mean, it's not our player, so.
Yeah, I would really, I guess, really doing that. I mean, you can always look at the timestamp for the encoded frames and compare those to the display or the retrieval time, but I can't think of a way to do that currently. You might be able to dig into some of the browser's media internals APIs to do some of that.
And Mira's asking, is ultra low latency available only on cloud or also available on Wowza Streaming Engine? Right now, Mira, it is only on cloud for now. And I don't know if Don wants to speak to that, but you know, things are in the works, is all I can say.
Come talk to me at NAB.
There you go. And just so you guys know, we will be there at NAB. We have several locations beyond our own booth that will be available. And Robin's asking for a timeline. Again, talk to us at NAB. Okay. Darren's asking, does the ultra low latency solution support iOS in browser playback? So ultra low latency.
Yes.
Yes.
It does, but it will fall back to native player. So it will
fall back to HLS?
Correct.
Right, gotcha. So it won't be using the WOWS protocol. If you're using our app, so you're asking about iOS, and you're using our app or you're building your own app, though, you will see, though, the sub 2 second latency in the United States.
That is correct.
I know that too because I made the video. I tested it. Let's see. Okay, here. Mike's asking, can WebRTC feed Wowza Streaming Cloud set to ULL?
Yes.
Well,
so we can't feed directly WebRTC into cloud, but we can go from engine to cloud. So yeah, I guess that wouldn't currently work.
So, but you can go engine target to cloud. You know, the question is, why would you want to? And that's sort of the reason why I keep saying everybody's looking for an ultra low latency solution. If you want to go to cloud, if you want to check out our ultra low latency solution, check out Wowza Streaming Cloud with ultra low latency. And again, if you would like, please send me an email, webinars@wowza.com, same one that you get to register for the registration confirmations. And I'll definitely send you a video of how to get that all set up. All right, guys. Well, I got to say it is past time now. You do have a lot of questions that came in, and I do appreciate all the questions. I am sorry we can't get to everything. If there are specific questions that you need answers to, you can definitely, Jason, if I'm not wrong, but contact our support department here. You guys can definitely help them out on some of these.
Oh, absolutely.
And as well, if there's certain things you'd like to see happening, such as RTMP to, you know what, acronyms? I'm starting to lose
basically
it.
Basically, it's non-WebRTC and WebRTC. Yes, something we're looking at.
Yeah. And, you know, definitely send me an email, and I'll make sure that the right people get it. All right. Thank you, everybody. Frank, thank you for helping out. Don, thank you.
Yeah, nice job, guys.
Jason, glad to have you here. All right, everybody. I hope you all have a great day and get home before a blizzard hits. That's all I'm saying. Take care.